Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for the Cape Town Sevens, and this one, Australia versus Kenya. Two sides that on their given day can be extremely dangerous. In a game of sevens last week, we saw Kenya come onto the circuit for their first leg since getting promoted up to the scene, and they did extremely well, managing to get themselves a big win over the South Africans. They want to do exactly that here up against the Aussies, but in the starting side for Australia, it is Henry Hutchinson, who of course is well known for trying to get in that breakdown, get those turnovers. Ben Dowling, Matthew Gonzalez, Michael Isley, Henry Patterson, Hayden Sargent, and James Turner. Now, it seemed like Henry Patterson was going to have an injury last week in one of those later games, but somehow managed to continue, and he is once again here for the Aussies for this match. In the Kenyan starting lineup, it is Kevin Wakesa, Izati is there, Peterson, Amaitsa, also Abukusi, George Oru Angio, then Patrick Adongo Okongo. We saw moments of him throughout last week, and then Benson Adoyo, the last man in the starting side. So it is certainly considered as Kenya as the underdog for this matchup, but that is something that I guess the Kenyans have experienced for a majority of their matches on the Seven circuit, not just for this year, but in the past as well, and they love causing the upset. They love having a party out there on the field, and that is exactly what we're going to see. If any tries are scored by the Kenyans, there will be big celebrations. Hi, Amish, long time I was on your channel, says Yanlu. Welcome back, mate. We have been keeping well. 1 minute remaining in the game between France and the USA, and then we are straight in to this match, as well as plenty more taking place throughout the near future. I'm going to day 2 tomorrow, says Yanlu. It does look like a beautiful day at the moment. There were concerns of whether or not it could be raining for a couple of these days, but looks absolutely fine for the weather in Cape Town. Just a little knock on coming from the French, who are currently leading comfortably up against the USA. So they should make their way through. At least it looks probable for them to make it through to the semi-finals. And because of the new format, 4 teams in each group for the last sevens, Dubai, 3 in each for Cape Town, which does mean pretty much you're straight into the action. Any loss pretty much takes you out. Do you think Kenya can beat Australia? I think that they've got the capability of being able to get the win. It's just whether or not they start off with a massive start in their sevens. And how much are France leading by? At the moment, they are leading 43 points to 12. So a 21-point lead here for the French, and it looks like they're going to go for one last attack as well. Morning, mate, says Flesh, and welcome in. You have been keeping well, mate. And what up, G, says Duke. And also looking forward to the rugby today. If a team doesn't win both games in their pool, then they don't have much chance going through to the semi, says Novmum. Yeah, it's very rare that a side will make their way through, unless, of course, you get a 1-1-1 situation for a group, which could happen. I mean, in one of the groups, we've got South Africa, Argentina, and Ireland, which, I mean, at least 2 of those sides, theoretically, should be through to the later stages. But unfortunately, with the shortened format, all of these sides only playing 4 matches till the end of the comp. Now, I should mention that France have scored again, so they will get 52 points to 12 as their win over the USA, so a 40-point margin in favour of the French. So that has certainly put in every other side in their group on notice. Now, I should mention New Zealand find themselves playing up against the French and USA a little bit later on. So their chances, I mean, they're going to have to get a big win in both of those matches to have that real chance. But now we move on to this next game. Australia versus Kenya. It will be the first of the group, lying in bed with the storm storming outside listening to you, says Fleshman. Hopefully the storm doesn't get too severe for you. I saw we got a random wind warning here, but I don't think the wind even blew at all, so I think they were lying. I told you in the comments yesterday, or early yesterday, that it will be sunny in Cape Town on Saturday and Sunday. Rain gone for now, says Bruce. And there, but the 7th ranked Australia going up against the 10th ranked Kenya. It is great to see the Kenyans back on the 7th circuit. Sadly, last year we didn't get to see them. And when you look through at this format, where it is the top 2 sides, or at least it should be, but instead it is just the top 1 side going through, I feel like if we had 16 teams, this would be perfect. You know, you get to see one extra side, whether that is Samoa, whether that's Canada, whether you see another one of those young sides like Germany, for instance, who did pretty well last year in the qualifying stages to get to this point. Kenya with their captain Azati, they would love nothing more than to start Cape Town off with a bang and a big win over Australia. But the thing is, if Kenya don't fire, that's where we could see Australia win this game by, I know that it sounds harsh, but 20 plus points. So we have to wait and see how this one does go. So I've just mentioned about Nathan Lawson. He is not there due to his mother passing away. So they have got the black armbands on this Australian side. But now we are ready to go for this matchup. I'm quite excited for this one just because it's very hard to predict what's actually going to happen when these two sides play off. But AJ Jacobs, he'll be the referee in charge of this matchup. His 108th on the series, and the Australians will be kicking off from left to right to get us underway. Michael Isley. Oh, no, hang on. It's been offloaded across, and now we get underway with a big deep kickoff from the Australians. Kenya claiming that ball only a few metres out from their own line. Dangerous place on the field. Looks like Okongo will be there. Inside of their own area, Azate going to be wrestled down, and that is now going to be the 5-metre scrum for the Australians. So a dream start for them right in the part of the field that they wanted to be in. They've got speed out wide. James Turner normally very hard to stop, but Azate, he was just deep inside of the Kenyan territory, got the pass back into the in-goal area and just had nowhere really to go. Now getting ready to feed this one in for the Australians. And Matt Gonzalez does put the ball in. First retriever, James Turner, nice step, and he's over. Azati tried to make the tackle, but just couldn't quite drag him down in time, and that is the first of, I'm sure, many for James Turner throughout Cape Town. That is the second of the year as well, or at least for the season. Just slipping over there, Kenya, when they were trying to defend. Azati had to make the tackle. And just size advantage went to Turner. And a good start to the match for the Australians. They are on the score sheet first. And the kick is also good. So that will make the score 7-0 for Australia with 1.5 minutes gone. Got another match just around the corner as well. I should mention it will be Ireland versus South Africa. So be sure keep an eye out for that. That's going to be a good kick over the top from Australia. Great restart, finds touch. And now Kenya once again will be inside of their own 22. This must be a clear and obvious tactic from Australia. Try and force Kenya as deep as they can. That is 2 big kickoffs that they've gone for in a row. Kenya now throwing that one in nicely. Oh, it's considered not straight. And now Australia will get themselves the scrum feed again. Kenya look a little bit frustrated with that call. They need a couple little moments going their way. Oro did well to claim it, but Australia, they do have themselves yet again another scrum feed. This one from about 12 metres out from the line. The same for Australia. They only conceded 13 tries last week, which does sound like quite a few, but when you consider they played 6 games, it's not terrible. He also scored a lot more than that, though, when they were out there on the field. Going off to the left-hand side now. Chance for James Turner. Steps in. And going to be dragged down just short of the try line. Going short side. Sargent puts the ball down. And it's another try for the Australians. 2 in a row in the first 3 minutes. Almost like clockwork. Scoring every 90 seconds at the moment, Australia. 13th career try for Hayden Sargent. Just cutting back in again. Good low tackle made by Kevin Wakesa, but Australia wanting to play this game at pure frantic pace. Not allow Kenya's backline to set. That is a decent kick attempt, but it's gone away to the right, so the score now will remain at 12-0 for the Australians. A very good start to the match for the Aussies. We are yet to see Kenya actually have possession outside of their own 22, and I will tell you what, Australia have decided to go short, a little bit risky, as the long kickoff was working so well, but Kenya now in possession, looking to the short side, not a lot of space to work with. Now firing it back across. They've got some speedsters in their backline. Congo will be waiting for that ball. Now, nice offload on the inside to Oro. Now, Azati. Back across to the right-hand side. Good fin coming in. Almost through for Akubusi. Or Abukusi, I should say. Now, nice pick and go again from Kenya. Slowly making meters with Kevin Waikesa. Back off to the left-hand side. Oh, nice step attempt. Sargent just manages to drag him down, though. It seems like it's quite slippery underfoot. Even though it is dry, that is a good driving run from George Oyo. And now over the top. Loose ball. I think it's still going to be on the side of Kenya. There wasn't a knock on, so they will still have one chance to attack here. I do miss the London Sevens. It was always a good weekend out. Says Fleshin. Yeah, it is a bit of a shame that they've cut the Sevens down to, I think we've only got 8 legs now, don't we, for the overall standings. That'll kick them behind. And the fact that we've got 8 and now they are making some of them a little bit shorter, I assume it's just because it's a back-to-back leg that they've gone with less games here. I'm born in Aussie land, but I support Kenya, says Duke. So you're probably loving this game then, getting to see both of your sides in action. But Oro, just showing how hard he is to be put down. James Turner eventually manages to do it. Kenya made the most kicks in play of any team last weekend with 14, retaining 57 of them. So that is quite an impressive stat. But now a line out for the Australians just inside of their own 22. That wasn't very straight. In fact, I'd almost say that was as wonky as the Kenyan throw. But it is going to be play on. Dowling going for the big kick downfield. Kenya going to have to retreat 40 metres to be able to claim this one, but they have got the possession back. Fired back across to Asati, the captain of Kenya. Now, if they can score now, they aren't completely out of this game, and that is another very good step from Okongo, but just held on to by Henry Patterson, and the breakdown work of Hutchinson gets the ball for Australia. Shazaz says Duke there. We've got 2 Dukes in the chat. That's been happening more and more lately, even though we haven't had a huge number of people at times. Somehow we keep on getting double ups of the same names. JD, I am from many moons that circles awkward around Jupiter, says JD 280. There you go. The 14 tackles made at the moment from the Australians, just missing the one. Kenya sitting 1-1. The 50% tackle completion rate. The fact that Australia have had quite a few attacks already does make it a little bit concerning that Kenya have only been able to touch them twice, and one of which they didn't miss, but that's going to be overthrown. Kenya now got the position just on their 22. Big mistake at line-out time for the Aussies. Might now lead to a brilliant chance for Kenya to run forward. Odongo Okongo can't quite get through. Now on the halfway line. Can Kenya find a way back into this one before the end of the half? Big shot coming in the midfield by Michael Isley. Now running backwards here for Kenya. Oh, little bit of a slip. That's happened quite a bit. Like I said, I don't know what it is about the underfoot conditions at the moment. It looks like a really nice dry day, so maybe it's too dry. It ends up with a lot of slipping and sliding. Just that we got same name. Says Duke there. Good afternoon, Hamish. Thank you for the commentary. Says JD. No worries at all, I should say. We're going to be having South Africa versus Ireland, all going for the risky kick there. Kenya, and what a kick it is. 5 metres out from the line now. And it's going to be a line-out opportunity in the perfect position on the field. It's 5:54 for me in Perth. And supporting Kenya, says Duke. Who's your favourite Kenyan player, Duke? Do let me know at the moment. I mean, a lot of people would probably say Waikesa. It's one of those more experienced veterans for the Kenyans. The captain, Azati. Now has an important line-out throw to get right. Looks like Australia are going to try and contest for this one. They've thrown in, nicely done, and claimed by Kenya. 5 metres out from the line. It looked like Kenya were half by attempting a rolling maul there. That broke down pretty quickly. Now 10 metres out from the line. Back across to the right space here. Oro will be just short of the try line. Now pick and go. This is great scramble defence from the Australians. Oro going off to the left now. Wide cut out pass. Kevin Wakesa will score it, and the first try of the match coming for the Kenyans. Kevin Wakesa, his third try of the Sevens circuit. That is exactly what the Kenyans needed. Right at the end of the first half, Odongo Okongo says Duke there. Yeah, phenomenal talent. And no score yet for the Kenyans. What's wrong? They have now got themselves a score. They've just been slowly working away. They haven't had a huge amount of possession throughout this first half, a majority of it going to the Australians. So the fact that Kenya have been able to pretty much just bide their time and wait for their chance. And it's a fantastic kick as well, making the score 12 points to 7 heading into half-time. Now, these two sides went an extra 2 minutes 30 more than they probably would have liked to. Now, you're in that scenario, seeing as we've only got 2 games today for these sides, it's not the end of the world that you're playing a little bit more rugby, but at the same time, you don't really want to gas out too early. Good to see Kenya back. They have stood up with these tough fixtures against big boys like the Australians, Fiji, All Blacks, South Africa, says Brian. And yeah, brilliantly done last week, winning up against South Africa and the Irish in those 2 matches last week. Rugby Pass, what's up? Says Agric in there as well. Hopefully it is. Is it being shown on Rugby Pass? I know they've been doing some of the Sevens in the past. Kenya will definitely win this, says Duke. Well, they've certainly got the momentum. I know that would score when I posted that comment, says Bruce. Yeah, now back in this game. Only 5 points difference between these two sides. And a big opportunity for the Kenyans to fire back. But Australia, they are no slouches when it comes to a second half. We have seen some pretty good work from them over the last maybe 12 months or so in terms of being able to close out a game. And sometimes they will be able to just up the tempo massively. My favourite is None, because they are all good. But what about you, says Duke? I mean, I'm a big fan of Kevin Wakesa, not just because he scored. Of course, I did mention him before that point, but just one of the big men of this Sevens side. A lot of personality about him as well, as do all these Kenyan players. When it comes to scoring tries, they love to celebrate. And even if Kenya are losing, one try that they score normally lights the crowd on fire, and they absolutely love it. I'm an Australian, but I support Kenya. Says Alita there. Hi, says Daniel, welcome in. Surely any non-Aussie is supporting Kenya, says Flesh in there as well. They have just also shown that in 31 minutes, Australia will be taking on, South Africa will be taking on the Irish. That is our other game of the Sevens that we are covering. But also throughout the Champions Cup live streams later on, we will be giving updates on the Sevens. This looks like a penalty going the way of the Australians. Hayden Sargent has stayed down, taken out in the air. Karabu Kenya, says Duke. But yeah, there is a lot of overlaps when it comes to the matches taking place later on today. But we are covering a lot more of tomorrow when it comes to the Sevens. So the semi-finals and whatnot will all be covered on the channel. Dowling will kick this one towards the touchline. In terms of the Kenyans, we'll quickly have a quick look. The next game will be taking place at 1:16 a.m. New Zealand time. That is up against the Spanish. So if they win this game and they win that game up against Spain, which will be tough to do, of course, Spain making their way through to the final of the last competition, then Kenya will be the side advancing through to the semis. But the same can be said about this Australian side. They will be playing Spain later on. A little bit of a hospital pass there, going to Australia and Kenya, getting in the breakdown. And a good turnover to have. Yeah, what? They're getting a little bit nervous now, I think, Australia. I have my favourite, I know my favourite Kenyan player is, and go Kenya, says Ben. And there as well, now kicking that one towards the corner. Yeah, Dowling just set him up, and Kevin Wakesa, I think it was rushing for to know. In fact, that time it was George Oro. They're just showing there, Kenya finished 10th in Dubai with wins against South Africa and Ireland. They want to finish a lot higher than that. And let's go, Kenya, says Alita. Black Cats are not doing well. That is very true. Looks like a short test match for New Zealand versus England this time. Nicely claimed at line-out time by Oro. Now loose ball. James Turner knocks it on. And it sits up now for the Kenyans, and they'll go back for the scrum. He's my favourite. He's nice, says Duke, for George Oro Angio. And yeah, once again, one of the other big players for Kenya. How many of the Sevens matches are you doing today? So we've only got this one today, and also the next game that's taking place between South Africa and Ireland. So not a lot of Sevens, but throughout the Champions Cup live streams, which are starting in about 4 hours onwards, I'm going to be giving updates of each of the Sevens games that are taking place. We'll have a little score and keep an eye on that to let you know exactly who's going through. But yeah, it's just unfortunate that normally for the Sevens, at least this weekend, there are a lot of overlaps, just like there were last week. But nice step there from Kenya. They're only 5 metres out from the line, but the ball has bounced out the side and it's onto the side of the Australians now. Can you do New Zealand versus who they're playing? They are going to be playing the USA. I believe that's at 12:50 a.m. New Zealand time, but we're probably going to be sleeping before those Champions Cup games since we'll be up all night after that. Come on the box, says Simon. And is there any good games coming up, says Hanoi? I would say South Africa versus Ireland will end up being a very good game. Later on, they are going to be playing up against the Argentines as well. Definitely the type of game to keep a little bit of an eye on. Kenya needs more practice, and what better way to practice than on the World Sevens circuit? It's going to be awesome seeing these guys. They're just showing there that rush defense from Kenya does help them win the ball. And they're 5 metres out from the line with a scrum to come. And Vamos España says affliction. Kenya to put the ball in, still tackling at 50% at the moment, but they have a great chance here of taking the lead. Step in there from Mboya. Now the pick and go, and it's going to be dropped by George Oro Angelo. We have got their damn Vietnamese, says JD there. It's going to be kicked downfield from the Australians. That is some good distance on it. But Kenya waiting for the bounce of the ball. Back there is the captain, Azati. Currently near the halfway line, firing it off to his left. Australia scramble defence. Looks relatively strong for now, although now running down the wing. Chips it in behind. Kenya love using that kick to their advantage. That's a tackle off the ball, and that will more than likely be a penalty try for Kenya, and it's at least a yellow card for the Australians. They will check this one with the TMO, but this might be awarded as a penalty try, although I do have to say the bounce of the ball was not favourable for Kenya, so that might be the one thing that stops it from being the penalty try here, but he was definitely tackled off the ball. 23, he will be going to the bin. Oh, and it is going to be a penalty try. Kenya will take the lead here up against Australia with only 2 and a bit minutes to go. A great kick in behind and a brilliant chase as well. Now, he actually overran it, but he was tackled off the ball there. And you cannot afford to do something like that. Go Kenya, says Duke. Go the Bok, says Ronnie. And of course, they will be in action in only 20 minutes time, and we will be covering their game on the channel as well. But Kenya are fired up at the moment. Can you do my uploads on your reaction channel? Are we talking about the Kiwi Lads reaction or the Kiwi Lads entertainment, Duke? Do let me know, because you only did one video. Okay, so it's the Kiwi Lads react. Yeah, we did one rugby related video, and that's all that we've done on that channel. So hopefully one day we can revive it, but don't have any plans to as of yet. Go Kenya, says Duke. Go Kenya, says Roy. And hello, Ollie and best friend Jacayla. And penalty try, well, great work, Australia. Now Kevin Waikesa. It's going to be a penalty there for a high tackle. Kenya's like Fiji from Wish, says Hanoi. And the poll, I said Kenya will win, says Bruce. Still 2 minutes remaining. Can Australia change the momentum? That one looked a little bit high from the Kenyans as well. They've been told to release. They've got some decent players off the bench, Australia, but just slipping and sliding at the moment. And go Kenya, says NASA's counter ruck coming from Kenya, who looked to the short side. Oro breaks through, and it's the try for the Kenyans that I believe will be enough. Did he just, I think that's called a gritty. I'm not very hip with the dances and whatnot, but he has celebrated big time there. George Oro Angia, the counter ruck coming from Kenya. They're setting themselves up for a big start here in the competition. If they can beat Spain, they will be advancing through to the next stage. And go, says Duke. And Vet's getting deported from Australia, says JD. And the kick has gone over as well. And that is a, oh, hang on. It hasn't gone over. It just fell half a metre short. So now Australia need a try. It's going to be slapped out of their hands, and Kenya pick the ball up again. Counter-ruck coming from Australia this time, but unsuccessful in the venture. Going off to the left-hand side here for Kenya, still in possession, 30 seconds remaining. All ball's been dropped. Australia pick it up, looking for the offload, but they will go back for the original knock-on in favour of Australia. We've got to remember they are still playing with one less man on the field as well here for the Aussies. Game of two half, what I was hoping for, says Bruce. Yeah, certainly a great start to this match for the Australians. And then Kenya have just come back completely. Oz have a chance, says Anoi. That is true. They would have to get the try and they would have to convert. Kenya, in some of their defeats, they haven't conceded a huge amount of tries to their credit. Right, another change being made by the Australians. I think it's James Blake making his way on. They're back to 7 now. Who got the card from the Aussies? It was the young 23. I think it was Kinayaki, I think it is. Something along those lines. And Mapangale dance from Kenya, says Brian. Now McGregor, locked over the ball. Kenya win the penalty. And they will be able to tap this one, boot it into touch, and this will be a massive victory for the Kenyans here, beating Australia. And also, already this year, we have seen them manage to get themselves wins over South Africa and Ireland. All the top sides getting added to the Kenyan hit list here. But winning this game, 19 points to 12, a brilliant first performance from Kenya. And they now look forward to their next game up against the Spanish, where they will soon confirm if they will be making their way through to the semi-finals. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. Our next live stream will be taking place in 18 minutes' time. That is South Africa versus Ireland. But I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you all for the next one.